Thank you very much. I like the passion with which you are doing this. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me congratulate leadership newspaper. I don't know why it's a coincidence. That says that okay. Leadership is not child friendly. I just may continue that way because you can clearly see what is happening here does not happen in any other newspaper, and I say with all clear conscience. When it comes to recognizing children's rights and working with children, thank God that is beginning to happen. It's beginning to happen, and we are seeing it in leadership. So thank you very much for leadership. UNICEF started in 1940. It's actually talking about history, right?
Yes.
1946. Immediately after the Second World War. As you know, Europe and Asia were the battlefield of the Second World War, and those countries were devastated. Japan, the whole of Germany, France, Holland, Belgium, all that area were totally and completely devastated. And there were millions and millions of children who lost parents, some both parents. They were homeless. They were just out there in the street. So then the United Nations decided that we need to create an agency that would immediately step in and manage the crisis. It was a huge children's crisis. So the first name for UNICEF is still UNICEF, but the acronym is still, the first acronym is United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. But that was the old name. I'm just going to illustrate, it was an emergency situation, so that's why we put emergency there, to make sure that these children are taken care of. The immediate need of those children. So later it transformed and became both an emergency and a development agency. So now, when they say you should write the acronym for UNICEF, it is United Nations Children's Fund. That's what it is. No emergency. We still do emergency, but it's no longer there. We have been doing a whole lot of work in the Northeast, in Maiduguri and the rest of the places. We are doing a whole lot of work there. So we see the emergency work. We are now doing a lot of development work as well as emergency work. So we work in those areas, and in 1989, there was the Convention on the Rights of the Child for the first time in the history of the world. The United Nations came together and put up a set of framework, and as I say, these are the rights of children, consolidated in what they call the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Every right of a child is in that document, and all those rights must be realized by every society. So in 2003, the Nigerian government also now what called domesticated those rights, because you need to do that so it becomes a law. So now we have a law that is called the Child Rights Act 2023. But also the law also requires you to domesticate in every state. In every state, and in every state is now called the Child Rights Law. So these are laws that must apply to issues concerning children. Compulsory education, protection, making sure that every child survives. So once you have James must get all the immunization that is necessary. By force, he must get it. So that he will live. So I will grow up strong and a healthy boy and a healthy child. So it's actually by law that will happen. And then the law also says that every child must go to school. If we are not obeying, it's just that we are in breach of the law that is there. Even the UBE Act also says that every child must go to school for 9 years. After 9 years, you can decide to do whatever you want to do. You can go on to be anything. You can decide, okay, after 9 years, let me go and work as a building contractor or something, or be a fashion designer or whatever. But compulsorily, for 9 years, you must be in school. That is from primary 1 to JS3 to JS3. After JS3, you can go on and move on and do something else. So it's compulsory and it's by law. So after that, so you have the survival, you have the development, which is education, then you have the protection. Every child by law must be protected against abuse. And today we see all forms of abuse. In the papers every day we see it. So we need to protect children against every form of abuse. By adults, because we the adults are the ones perpetrating this abuse on our children. Whether it's physical abuse, whether it's sexual, whether it's emotional abuse. It's not good. If you see your child and say, this child is useless, what if you make me born you? That is emotional violence. And sometimes it's longer lasting. It's longer lasting than killing. If you kill, after some time you forget the kill. But he or she will always remember, even as adults, like you said, this child is useless. You will amount to nothing. He or she will remember that. And that can psychologically turn him to be a useless child, because my parents said, I'm useless. I will not amount to anything. So sometimes emotional violence is even more devastating than physical violence. So those are the things that we need to do. And then participation, which is what leadership has been excellent in doing in the last few years. Every child must participate in what society is doing to the extent of his age. So you must have your say in everything. You must say, oh, well, I really don't like this food, but if I have to take it because there's nothing else, well, I'll have to take it. You understand? So they seek your opinion, and we do it. But we don't seem to realize that we do it. Sometimes when the child says, I like this car, or I like this food, before you know it, the mother and the parents are buying it without that. So those are those tenets of the child rights law that Nigeria now has in place, apart from 1 or 2 states, which we are still working with them to make sure that they also domesticate those laws and have it in place, so that all children will be protected. It was one of the Swedish Prime Minister that says, tell me how you treat your children today, and I will tell you what your society will look like in 30 years' time. How a society treats its children is an indication of how that society will be in 20, 30 years' time. So if Nigeria have 20 million children who are not in school, where are we heading to? Where are we heading to? Disaster. If Nigeria does not protect the rights of its children, where are we heading to? Disaster. We met a man in Kano in 2010. He's very big now. He's a rich man, actually big in Kano. But he said he would never forgive the Nigerian society. Anything wrong he can do to this Nigerian society, he will do it. He said, why? He said he was brought up as an almajiri. He hasn't forgotten. They gave back to him and they threw him out in the streets to become an almajiri. And he was treated, worst form of treatment he got. But God helped him. Now he's grown up, now he's big, and now he's rich. But what is in his consciousness? The treatment he got. The treatment he got as an imaginary child. So that's what happens when you treat children badly. They grow up with it, and they say, I'm going to inflict it back on the same society that did it to me. That's what happens. But if you treat a child well, he's thinking of his nation, patriotically, this is my nation, and patriotic. I'm going to do to this nation because this nation has helped me in the past. So that's why we do what we do. That's why we work in all areas to see that children's rights are realized. The rights I mentioned now, the rights to survival, making sure that all medication children get it, the right to education, making sure that children get that first basic education, and the right to protection. Let's ensure that children are protected. And then the right to participation, which is what we are doing, which is what daily leadership newspaper has been doing for the last couple of years. Your expressions, they matter. The Nigeria we want, they matter. We put it out there, and we put it out. So I'm asking that, please send clips of this to us. We have millions on our website. People who send clips, action clips of what is happening here. I'm going to put it in all our social media platforms so that it gets additional mileage from what leadership is already doing. Thank you very much.